welcome to the Council of Moms. I'm Lisa Valentine Clark, and here today we've got Julie, Erika, and LaShawn here to solve all of our problems and concerns. That's just what it is. It's comprehensive, the Council of Moms. We promise big, we deliver whatever we've got left. Now, we're going to start with our question, as we always do. This comes from a listener. One of my kids is well behaved at home, but has a hard time following rules when I'm not around. How do I prevent behavior that I cannot address in the moment?
Ooh.
And I actually would say at first when I read this question, I thought, oh, this is like for younger kids. Then I was like, no, it's not. It's even for older kids. So how do you address behavior that you don't like, that you feel like needs to be corrected, that you cannot address in the moment? How do you handle those parenting situations?
2 words, ankle tracker.
Oh, that's perfect.
Could an air tag work? Can I just
The FBI or something.
We've just started. I feel like this, I'm like on the cusp of this right now with my kids. So I have 2 boys who are just like at all moments doing something they shouldn't be doing. And I'm like, oh, great. Thanks for doing that. One of my kids was like taking stuff out of the lost and found at school. And I was like, what are you doing? And he goes,
Shopping.
Well, it's lost. They don't know. So I was
my
like,
gosh.
bro, no.
No.
But I've been saying this thing. I'm like, you guys, I'm like, the person you are is when I'm not around. I'm like, I need you to assess, like, what do you believe in? What do you think? Like, you know what I've said, but like the person you really are is when no one's looking.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
honesty policy, how you're handling yourself, how you approach the world, like that's your true nature. That's your true self. Go out into the world and see what you look like. So I'm like reiterating that over and over with these 2 boys. It's been interesting to see them kind of download it a few times and go like, oh, okay. And I don't know how comfortable they are with that yet, but that's messaging that we've been using.
Oh, I like that messaging. I like that you're addressing, we know that you are behaving outside of our scope. Like, let's acknowledge this situation. I like that.
And we know what's happening. Like,
yeah.
guess what? We see you even when we don't see you. Like, mom finds out eventually. Like, but also,
Absolutely.
like, I'm not going to be with you forever. Like, I'm not here. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to affect the choices that you want to make for good and for bad. So, like, start practice. That's what childhood is for you to practice. Like, when I'm not around, what choices are you making?
I don't know if this is good or bad, but I always talk about like the Clark name. Like, you are representing your name. You're representing your father's name, your mother's name. Whether you acknowledge it or not, you belong to us. We belong to each other. Like, and what one person does, like, that either brings honor or dishonor to the name.
To the name.
I don't know if that's good or not, but I find myself having said that over the course of my
dad
parenting.
did that a lot too, though. And I don't feel like, I mean, I guess maybe there was a little bit of pressure, but I think pressure's not always bad. And I think that like it definitely did influence choices. Like, I remember thinking about that sentence when I was making certain choices.
Well, I think
it can be helpful
in the sense of, like, I teach them about their ancestors, right? Like, your grandmother was so amazing. She did this. Your grandfather was like this, and people used to say this about him. Like, and it's all like, isn't that cool? Like, you belong to these kinds of people. And it's kind of like helping of like that too. Like, they had this hope and dream when they came to America, and you're a continuation of that. Like, you are connected. I don't know. Again, I have been accused of giving speeches to my children, but it doesn't mean that, like, I don't feel them. Like, that is one of the speeches I give.
Well, we had a scenario. I've had a couple scenarios with 5 boys, just 2, like 2, 3 scenarios for my kids.
Yeah, sure.
Like, on a Tuesday.
Nice, Erika.
Yeah. But in one scenario, I had a teacher call me and she was like, we have a huge problem. And this is like my sweet, very timid child. And she's like, his behavior is absolutely inexcusable. And I'm like, what? And she's like, he is so mean and disrespectful to the other kids. I'm like, what are we talking about here? And I'm like, there was this moment where it's like, oh my gosh, is my child truly a Jekyll and Hyde? Like this person at home, this person at school.
Yeah.
And I thought, what? And so, I mean, as a parent, it's so hard to distance yourself, but just to ask questions first. And it was like, okay, so can you tell me exactly what was going on? And turns out my son was being very mean to this one kid in the class.
Okay.
And as soon as the teacher told me the name, I was like, oh, that's the kid that bullied my child all last year till he was a wreck. And my child is simply reacting and trying to like reassert himself. Yes. And so I talked to the teacher about, and the teacher was like, and I explained what had happened the year before, and she's like, oh, I get it now. And there was no problem, but we still had a talk because I'm like, this, so this is what I heard was going on. I think what you need is to talk your feeling out, and then let's talk about maybe a better way to approach it.
Yeah,
because I don't think our kids are bad. I don't think they go out making bad decisions on purpose. I just think maybe they don't know that they have options. And so,
that's a good way to look at it.
I don't know. So we came up with a different option for him to feel those things and to still be angry and, but without being inappropriate. Right. So anyway, I just have to believe that most of our kids are not intending to be bad. They're just making some mistakes and they just need options, and they'll take the option that's the better one if they know that there is one.
So it's like a prepare them and repair after as needed, right?
Yeah.
Like you try and prepare your kids as best as you can. Hey, when you're home, we do this. When we're not home, we do the same thing, right? And checking in. But then if my kid's doing stuff, he's not following, or she's not following the rules when you're not here. Okay, cool, kiddo. Help me understand what's happening. What makes it easier at home and harder away from home?
Oh, yeah.
And how can we help, right? To give them that option so that, because whatever is happening, if someone is caring enough about your kid to let you know, they're kind of struggling with this, that, and the other. Do we have spaces like, oh, you know what? Here's what we do. I think this might help when they're with you because it will sound like me. So if you say the thing that sounds like me, or you say the thing that I say, I think it will help. Let me know if that's helpful, and I'll work with my kid on my end too. So prepare and then repair and then empower other people to show up with our kids like we do, so that the kids kind of experience that consistency.
I did the same thing where I would throw my kids under the bus. I'm like, oh, it's definitely them. When they were little, I'd be like, I know it's them. I'm sure it's them. Don't worry. And I'd take care of it. And I think that I had to swing back the other direction of like maybe protecting them a little bit more. But I do think that it's important to make sure that if an adult is coming to us, there's something that's happening. With Erika, she realized there was a reason for the kid too. But I think like it's good for us to like assess and go like, because you can, well, that's not my kid. My kid didn't do that.
My kid would never.
No way that was,
Because we all know that parent.
Yeah.
Or we've been that parent.
Met that. Yeah.
Never.
So I think finding a healthy balance of like realizing that they could be acting differently than they do at home, right? And then also realizing there's probably a reason for it.
That's
right. And let's be honest too. Your kids are different in front of you than when they're with their friends, than when they're at work, than 100%. When they're in different, because you are different when you're with your parents. Like me at middle-aged, I'm different with my parents than I am when I'm with my sister or when I'm with my friend. Like we all have an authentic version of ourselves that just comes out with different groups of people too. And so I think it's important to acknowledge like that as we're raising kids too. Like there's all those memes too of like nobody's a better actor than like my mom when companies are coming over or whatever, or like that, like, or like, is my mom really who like, oh yes, hello. And then your kids are looking at you like, come on. And so they're trying to figure that out as well. And so sometimes I like to acknowledge that in context, especially when they were younger, where I would say, okay, like my parents had this thing when we were all growing up. They'd say, before we went somewhere, they'd be like, GM. And that was our code for good manners. And of course we were like greased monkeys. Because we're the worst, like little kids, you know, and we're like, what is GM? You know, we try to think of all the things and they were like, good man, you know, like we're going in public. Like this is not to say we're going to be, you know, inauthentic or anything like that, but it's like, be aware of your manners now. And there are, I think, times, I think it's an important part of teaching kids too, that yes, while you may act differently, within what range, right? Because if we're talking about implicit in this question, prevent behavior I can't address in the moment, it's like, I feel like, ooh, I want to like know what that means.
Yes.
Because I know that sometimes my kids, like as adults, they do and say things that I don't like, that I did not teach them, that I do not approve of. And they are grown people and they get to make their own decisions. And I'm sure there are things that I do and say that they don't like, that they don't think is appropriate either. Like let's put it both ways. So I like having the discussion of how do you approach this in a parent-child conversation that's different than like a teacher or what is our role as our kids get older about like preventing behavior we don't like?
Yeah,
Well,
that's an
before
interesting
that-
idea that he thinks that, like, the way that they said that I can't control in the
Yeah.
moment. It's like,
Like, what does that mean?
Control.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but what if
You
it's a
won't.
good thing though? Like, what if it's my kid follows rules and like doesn't, I don't know, talk back, but when they're out and they're away from me, they talk back to the adults, right? And
Yeah.
then that's like,
Yeah.
but I have a relationship with my kid where we communicate, but if us communicating is experienced as talking back outside of the
Oh,
home,
yeah.
right? Like, what
Yes.
if that's
That's my
the
kids.
thing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. My
That's
kids,
my
they
kids.
speak up. And so for someone is like, well, your kid talks back. Oh, my kid communicates. They're used to like being treated like
That
a whole
is
human being
so
that talks. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like we
And then I-
learned how to debate in my house growing up.
Yeah.
Like asking questions like, how did you come to that conclusion? I don't agree. Here's a
Yeah.
and in some homes that wouldn't be appropriate.
Yeah. And then I also wonder, like, is my kid feeling pressure to be like the kid who's the example to everyone? And then heaven forbid this kid isn't following the rules. What if my kid's pressured? Like, I just want to be like all the other regular kids. I don't want to be the example, which I totally get. And also, like you were saying, Erika, is there another option for how we can do this? Because here's what's happening. It's not coming off the way you're intending, and it's not helping your relationship. So I have more questions too. Like, what is the kid doing? And is it something that needs to be prevented, or does it just need to be like, hey, we need some more options around what's happening when you're here? And what does that consistency look like when you're not at home with me?
The other problem is like, are they doing this because you're so controlled at home that like that's when they get to go and feel authentically them in
And
any
try
way,
stuff out.
right? Right. Like, and maybe it's a little bit crazy and outlandish because they're so bottled up and controlled in the home. Like it may be a situation where they're like, I'm finally free. I can like, you know, be a little bit
Yeah.
crazy or do the things that I've wanted to do. So maybe it's even that you just need to lighten the helicopter parent maybe a little bit.
I don't want to sound like a life coach with this, but I know
Go
it definitely
on.
means that way. But I'm like, you know, there's so many iterations of situations that I can't prepare my kid for.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I cannot.
You cannot
I mean,
prepare the path for the child. You can only prepare the child for the path.
for the
Yep.
path.
Yep.
And so
Yes.
I think there is a lot of wisdom in sitting down with your kid and saying, what do you think people should always be? Like if you had to give a list, what do you think someone should always be? And my guess is they're going to say honest. And I think they're going to say kind or, you know, whatever. And asking them their why. Like, well, why do you think that? And then saying, okay, well, guess what? Those are our non-negotiables in this family.
Yeah.
This is what we will always be. And if it is always honest, then that's great. Like I don't really care as much about what it looks like as long as my kids
Yeah.
are doing it for the right reason.
Good for you. I
So
love that.
I don't know. I don't know if maybe just, you know, having that kind of heart to heart and letting them come up with the rubric. Like, what do you think the always should be?
We did
And
that
as
too.
long
We
as
did we did a mission statement that like
Yep.
what is it, what's a Suazo and what does a Suazo look like and how do we go about the world? I think that's really important for them to start like self-identifying like
Oh, I
who
love
am
that.
I? Because that's the
Yep.
thing too is like a lot of this is just impulse. A lot for kids, a lot of it is like the sensory
Yeah.
comes in, they respond. This comes in, they respond. It's not a measured response like we have, right? Like we have point where we're processing it and thinking about it and doing something instead of like their brain is just nail. Like here it is, I go, right? And so if they can start to like download the idea of like, oh, this is who I am. So we had my one son like went into venturing for like swearing. He like really liked the idea that he could assert himself
Yeah.
and like he would like
powerful.
so he'd like say something and so we had to like pull swear words off the table. We're like, you can swear in the house, that's fine. I was like, but I want you to think about what those words do to you in the world. Like, how are you perceived in the world? And because number one, we just made them so they weren't an issue and suddenly they weren't cool anymore, right? So he
Yes.
was like, I'm not swearing. But then, like, also now, how are you perceived in the world? Like, you can say those words to someone else if you wanted to, but might they think, oh, he sounds like a mean kid, or he sounds like he's not very nice? I mean, I don't know. You'll have to see what that response is. And for sure, like it stopped. It was like, I'm not interested in this anymore because he got negative responses from the people around him. People were like, ugh, I don't like that. That sounds, I don't, especially living in the culture that we live in. They were like, ugh, I don't like it. So I think letting him kind of assert himself, even if it wasn't a boundary that like I felt kind of uncomfortable in, that he recognized pretty quickly that like that was a boundary he didn't like.
But you also were so proactive about helping him connect the dots.
Yep.
And so
mm-hmm.
connecting those dots, I think, is where his aha came from. And I think that, way to go, Mom.
Yeah,
That was
no
awesome.
kidding. I think
Thanks,
that's so good. And being able
You
to
can
like
use it.
bring them through that thought pattern of okay, so then if you do this, then this, like follow it through and what you want to do. And I love being able to I think every parent learns this, every mom learns this at a different time, right? That you just can't care what other people think about because they just don't know
That's
your
right.
own situation. And that is a great gift to give your kids as early as possible, of not so worrying about like what other people, but their like internal, like, who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in the world? What do you want people to say about you? Like you get to decide, what kind of human you want to be. And I think it boils down the things that you really, really care about, right? Like, you realize pretty soon, I think, you can't worry about like, well, my kid has to dress a certain way and talk a certain way and get certain grades and stuff. Like all of that stuff is just, it doesn't matter. There's like only a couple of things that matter of like, is my kid kind?
Mm-hmm.
Is more important than what are their grades. Like, you know what I'm just saying, like in an extreme case, we all learn this at one point or another. It'd be great if we could just all learn it earlier and cut each other some slack.
Try to recognize
sure.
too is like, is this your pride that's the issue?
Totally.
Like when somebody called you, did that make you feel really bad, or
Did
make
you
you
think
think
that
you're
how
a
they
really
were going to
bad
see
mom?
you as a bad mom? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think generationally, like I hold a lot of esteem for my dad, but like my dad has a very different idea of how kids should act. Like there's respect is to not talk, right? Respect is to look me in the eyes when I'm speaking to you and like, and like it should have been done this way. And like, I'm just not down with that. Like that I'm raising different kids. So like,
Yeah.
I can't be upset that like, maybe that upset somebody else. Like LaShawn was talking about, So check yourself too. Is this a you issue that you felt embarrassed? You felt like you weren't
that's a
doing
good
enough,
idea.
right? Like, and maybe it's not about you. Cause I always come in a little bit angry, like, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm a bad mom. And they had to call me and the school was so upset.
That's
and like,
my kid.
yeah. And like, actually, this is his experience. So let's process it for you.
That and like, is it a safety rule or is it some
Yeah.
other like social rule? I was thinking like my kid's well behaved at home, but has a problem following rules when I'm not around.
Yeah.
So is it the same rules at home that are like is he not behaving the rules at home when you're not at home? Like what's the environment where all this is happening? And I'm always like, is it a safety issue? Safety issue immediately that has to get nipped in the bud. Anything else is kind of negotiable and up for conversation. And I'm like you, Julie, like my kids know we value communication. So I don't care what is being said, but I do expect that we can communicate about it, you and me, and then whatever's going out. Because I tell my kids, I'm the first one to hold your back. I have your back if something goes down, but I'm the first one to hold you accountable if it's you. And I'm not worried about anybody else. This is just me and you. We'll work through it, but I'm going to hold you accountable to whatever is happening because the way that we function as a family, we have certain principles, like our own sort of mission statement.
Yeah.
We do 3 words every year that we remember to have 3 words that we want to function as, function by as a family. And then we stick to those words. And it's cool when I see my kids communicating to friends. That's just not what I do. That's not the kind of person that I am. I value the relationship with my mom, and I'm not going to do anything that's going to make my relationship with my mom be difficult. And I tell their friends that don't put my kid in a situation and don't let my kid put you in a situation where you and I are going to have a problem.
Oh, I like that.
And then everybody remembers, does your mom like me? I do, because if I didn't like you, I wouldn't tell you that I worry about our relationship being compromised based on the choices you all make when you're not around me.
Wow. Oh, I think that's powerful. I do like that because it's something that everyone can do. And again, you're giving an example of a script that you could have of an idea. Like, how do you instill this ideal? And it's like, oh, you can say this just directly, and valuing that communication. It reminds me of the things that I would like say to my kids of like, I want us to be honest with each other. We don't have to agree on everything. It's unrealistic for us to, as individuals, to agree on everything. But when I insist on certain things like behaviors and things, it is for your best interest. Absolutely. And we can negotiate the other things. Like we can. I have likes and dislikes like anybody else. So like, I like you to, dress a certain way or whatever for family pictures or to act a certain way in public. But we can negotiate these other things or whatever, because that doesn't matter. Like we can still consider and like make that work. I love that. I think that's an important point.
It's helpful, right? Because the thing about having a script, which I love that we've talked about consistently, is that's the thing that keeps your nervous system from revving up and freaking out. I got to talk. I got to say something. Yes. Oh, wait, no, I have a script. Yeah. Heart rate is down, baseline. Yeah, this is my script. This is my thing. This is my neutral, authentic, and genuine statement that I make because it takes care of me in the moment, takes care of you, and then everything is clear, and I'm not freaking out, revving up around it.
Being clear about what you're talking about, too, makes you better to communicate with the adults, your expectations of them, too. So,
Absolutely.
I've had communication with teachers where I've been like, just let me know. And I think it takes the pressure off of them that they don't feel like they're alone. Like, I feel like we're a team. Let me know. We'll have a conversation. Make sure that you're letting me know consistently if we're having problems still. Because I have one son who's adopted and he struggles a lot in school. He has some disabilities that just make it really tricky. And so I'm in constant communication with those teachers so that we feel like we're a team. And I think it makes the teachers feel empowered that they're able to like assess the situation, to handle the situation, but at the same time knowing that I've got their back, but it's all within the framework that we're comfortable with. It's not something that I don't agree with.
And I like it when everybody's on the same team. And don't you think that it helps to really boil down with the question is preventing behavior, but it really is the catalyst for deciding what values your family shares. And so just in the remaining time that we have left, I'd love to hear from each one of you of what you have found, those values that you have discovered of no, this is actually what we really care about instead of the behavior. I'd love to hear your perspective on it.
I tell my kids, be honest. You will have no problem with me. I can handle honesty. I can't handle lying. We can work through everything. If you're honest with me, you'll be more in trouble for not being honest with me more in trouble for lying with me than for being honest. So for us, it's honesty at all costs.
Ooh, I do love that.
Yeah, I talked about that too because I struggled with lying a ton when I was little. I don't know if I was a middle child and wanted attention or something, but I was
survival mechanism.
Just lying all the time. So I address that all the time with my kids. I'm like, you guys, you can handle anything, any dark secret, anything that you have needs light, and that has to be honesty. So honesty is where we're at. Bring light to every situation.
Yes.
Oh, I like that.
One thing that's really we try to beat this drum at our house is you can take the responsibility. Like, you're the one that's responsible. So, no excuses for, oh, I forgot to call you. The fact that I was at a different person's house, or I was late to class. I'm like, part of being a responsible human and preparing for adulthood is you go tell that teacher, I apologize for being late and I will not do that again. You know, like, just take responsibility.
Ownership. Yeah.
Take ownership.
I love that.
Yeah. I think along those same lines, like, their dad used to always say, I don't care about your grades. I don't care what you do in school. I want you to be known as the kind kid.
Yes.
Like, he's like, that's the thing that, like, if I could just pick one thing, is that the one that's kind to other people. He's like, I had experiences where I was and when I wasn't, like, as a kid. And I don't realize the impact until later. Like, we just want you to be the kind kid. But yeah, the same thing, LaShawn, too. I always talk about, like, you got to be honest and own it. Own whatever the truth is, and we are always on your team. Like, even if we don't have to agree on everything, but in order to have a real mature and honest, like, relationship as a family, we have to show up as our authentic selves, which means being honest about stuff. And you'll get in more trouble lying than you will of, like, what the thing. We can work. We're on each other's team.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, the team. And I don't know how many of us grew up with that. Like, I think we're trying to create it as we go, as best as we can, to say, you know what? I think that this is a really good idea. I have no idea how to do it. So I think we're going to try and figure it out together. So grace for me as I'm trying to figure it out as your mom. But I really feel like this could be good for us to be healthy and whole and functional and maintain really good connection. I didn't grow up this way. So I'm trying too. And I think that's a really important part.
Yeah.
Because don't we all fight against some sort of, like, internalized thing that we are bringing? Like, I'm always fighting against that performance. Like, like, whether it's showing up for grades or career or talents or whatever, like, I always am reminding myself, they're not here to perform for me or even for themselves, but to be real people.
Yeah.
It's not about that. An external thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes when people talk about their behavior, it can be misinterpreted as, like, we care more about your behavior and how you show up to others than how you really are. It's easy to get lost.
I've had to, like, stop parents, and they'll say, oh my gosh, your kid just, I don't know, let's say they did well at the science fair. You guys, he did so well at the science fair. You guys must be amazing parents. Nope, you don't get to say that to me because you don't get to put it on me when they're little pieces of crap when I'm not around. I'm like, you do not get to do that. Nope.
Yeah, the good and the bad.
Yes. My kid
That's
is
a new thing, though, generationally. That's a new thing.
It is a new thing. And I think we owe that to each other as moms, is that we don't esteem a child or a parent more because of their child's behavior, or esteem them less because of their child's behavior.
But how many times do we do that to each other?
All the time.
This is what I'm talking about. Like,
all the time.
Honestly, like with Council of Moms, when I'm like, we need to be friends with different ages and socioeconomic and life experience moms, because we see how much we're doing the same thing. And we need to be a better support to each other because we can't do it alone. And this idea of, like, because how many of us do that to ourselves when we're like, my kid behaved like this or didn't behave like this. So what does that say about me? And we take it personally when we're just showing up like it's not us.
Yeah. I just had one other thought about when our kids are being really naughty when we're not around. I think it's totally okay to let the consequence play out. I had a kid who was being a mouthy little stinker at a friend's house, and the mom sent him home, and she was like, nope. And I could have gone and defended him and done, this is a minor example. I know there's many more serious examples, but you know what? I thought the best consequence just happened. And that was, you learned that behavior makes you unwelcome. and you're unwelcome. So, I mean, let's talk it through. Let's figure out what you can do next time. But sometimes I
it's
just
not the
think
end of the world, but
Right.
I will help you with it. And we're always on each other's team. But that consequence.
But the consequence sometimes is the best teacher. And so while I know we want to make sure our kid is perfect with us, without us, outside of, let them learn, man. It's rough.
Because it's rare that they're malicious.
Right.
Like they're not calculating and
Yeah.
trying to make everything awful, but whatever their little stress response is or whatever is going on, an opportunity to learn. What do you think?
Right.
Do you think it was fair? If you don't think it was fair, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
want to do? Do you feel like you can say something? Should I help? Like there's just so many ways to do it together and to remind our kids, no matter what, we are a team. Everybody plays different positions. This is yours. How do we help you here?
Yeah,
I love,
that.
LaShawn, that you're giving us like specific questions, like to ask our kids and stuff, because so many times I feel like the pressure of like, I need to know exactly what to do in this situation and do it perfectly and right now. And it's, hey, let's turning it back with the question and helping them process. It's giving them tools as you are responding.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
that. Well, this has been a really great discussion about a touchy subject, which are subjects that we run right into on the Council of Moms. So if you want to hear more, please subscribe to us over on YouTube. You can see what we look like. You can join the party. And what I love there is the community that we've created. Feel free to ask questions for the Council of Moms. Put in your 2 cents too. We'd love to know what you feel about this issue as well. We continue the conversation over there. Thank you so much for my guests today, Erika, LaShawn, Julie. Thank you so much for being a part of the Council of Moms and for being a support just to other moms in general. Appreciate you and thanks so much.
Thank you. This was fun.
Thanks.
Thanks.